Welcome to the Impressive Human Show, brought to you by Nagging Panda. In the Impressive Human Show, we talk to impressive humans who embody a mix of business, motivation, entrepreneurship, leadership, and lifestyle. In today's Impressive Human Show, we talk to Ross Learmonth. He is the familiar golden voice all South Africans know so well and are so proud of. The writer and voice of Prime Circle, who is releasing his solo album and taking part in a boxing match. He has stories and experiences from here to Timbuctoo, and we talk to Ross about it all. About our sponsor, Nagging Panda. Nagging Panda wants you to get paid on time, every time. If you or your business supply a product or service before receiving payment, then hashtag automate the nag. Nagging Panda is for you. Ask yourself, how much time and energy do you or your staff spend chasing down customers for late payment? Nagging Panda can save you all the headache. It's so easy because it's plug and play to have Nagging Panda remind and nag for payment through SMS, email, or actual phone call. Say goodbye to awkward conversations. Nagging Panda is everything you need in one place. Create your invoice on Nagging Panda or connect your accounting software and let Nagging Panda take it from there. Get paid faster by sending customers the Nagging Panda Pay button. And if you need, use the built-in panel of debt collectors. Oh yes, and it works for quotes too. Try before you buy. Enjoy a no credit card required 30-day free trial. Sign up today at naggingpanda.com. All right.
Yeah. That sounds great. I'm signing up.
There we go. Done. Yeah. Okay, we got one. It's like building a fan base. You got to start one subscriber.
You don't understand how that's amazing. I know a lot of my the guys, especially in design and creating, graphics and stuff. Those guys are constantly trying to get paid, James.
Yeah. Okay. There's so many people, so many stories. Yeah. But Ross, welcome. Thanks for being on the Impressive Human Show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know if you'll remember this. I hinted at it off camera, but we were once upon a time signed to the same record label at the same time, and I'm talking like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
so
time flies.
It does, and I mean, I've got a million stories, but that's not the point. The point is more that I know you've got a million stories, and I want to try and get them out. So a little bit of background for people that may not know is small town boy.
Yeah.
You did you grow up Middleburg or Witbank?
I grew up in Middleburg.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did a lot of traveling to Witbank. Once you start getting a bit older, you want to go and party in Witbank, meet some. Witbank was sort of more of a nightlife kind of vibe. Yeah.
Okay. Then folks were from the Royal Air Force.
Yeah, they met in the Royal Air Force. I was born in Scotland, and I was 3 months old. I still had lint stuck to me as a bear. I was still wet from the womb when I was brought here. And and then grew up in Middleburg. Parents, Scottish and English. My mother's from Newcastle. My dad's from Motherwell.
Okay, interesting soccer match that.
Yeah.
So, and I've heard in other interviews that you've done, your dad's he had a fantastic sense of humor, a comedian.
Yeah, he could have been. He's always making jokes, and he's got the stories. There's a lot of great stuff in the family. The Scottish banter.
Okay, and you've got that vibe about you. I mean, you've got a very cool personality, nice to talk to. You've got that thing about you. You think it comes from there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so now let's talk some experiences. So, being the Impressive Human Show, we already think you're an impressive human, and we just want to get some stories out of there. So people, I don't think that they realize how hard it is to survive in the music industry. I think it looks like a straight line to success, but the entertainment industry in general, but in particular the music industry, it's anything but a straight line.
Yeah.
So let's pick up on one of your stories that you've got top of mind, that you'll remember, where you thought you were at the bottom, but you were just moving along the ladder, but you didn't know at the time. Where was that for you?
I think, it's constantly that thing where you think you actually. We were in Norway, and we just played with a lady called Beth Hart.
Yeah,
and she's amazing. Like, she's just this vocals. She's done stuff with Slash and everything, and we were like, wow, we get to open up for this amazing artist. And her stories. I mean, she's just come from. She was in jail and met her husband there, and he's now her tour manager, and he's this gentle giant. And we're just like, they took us under their wing kind of thing. And we played the show, and all these people she's got a very large lesbian following.
Right.
So the room was like just women, and it was quite amazing. We were like, this is quite daunting playing to that kind of crowd, because we don't know, they don't know us, and we don't know what kind of like stuff to play, because Beth Hart's like got some of these stories. So we went more with our story songs, and Beth really liked it. Her manager was Wolf. He was Cyndi Lauper's ex-manager, and he was saying to us, man, I really like your voice, Ross. I think the next duet we can do is Beth Hart, and I really like it, and the tour, maybe we can carry on. And that same night, we finished the show, we left the venue, and we went, and there was no transport, nothing, and we ended up sleeping on the floor at a bus station, waiting for the trains and the buses to start the next day, and being kicked in the ribs by a guy, because you're not allowed to lie down.
Yeah, hey, wake up.
Yeah, and then the next day, never getting the call again, never again to be seen.
Yeah.
And we spent a lot of money to get there, and hoped that it would lead to something, and it's a dead end, you know what I mean? And then you have to go back with your tail between your legs and start again and try and raise some more money and go down another path. And then, I mean, just after that, we went on a big tour, cost us a fortune, and didn't lead to much again. Ended up sleeping on a lot of floors. I got attacked by a fleas, which bit my entire body. And it was just like but these are all great stories now.
Yeah.
Like I love these stories, telling them. And we were in our 20s and early 30s, so it was easier to do. And the older you get, the harder it is to sleep on the floor.
You don't want to do that for too long.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there are people listening. I mean, to see somebody they've seen as a star and on the stage and in front of all those people, and everyone knows your songs and all the radios and the TV shows and the magazines, to hear that you've had to sleep on the floor.
Yeah. Not so long ago as well.
And not too long ago. I mean, it's quite a thing for people to absorb, I think. And the only reason that you would do that is for the passion and the love of what you're doing, and a sort of a stubbornness to succeed.
Without a doubt.
Because it becomes, I don't want to give up. I don't want to stop. That's what I do.
Yeah.
What do you think it is that's driving you the most? Is it I won't? People have a mindset shift. It's I won't fail, but there's something other than that. It's never mind failing. It's I'm going to succeed.
Yeah.
What do you think's driving you?
I think it's definitely the lifestyle that I've always enjoyed, but I've wanted to. Like I need the wheels underneath me, you know, either way. And I'm not too much of a fussy guy when it comes to accommodation and that kind of stuff. I just think that's over years of learning, you know. Yeah. But you do get used to the nice stuff very quickly. You know?
Sure.
You know, but like don't upgrade your flight. If sometimes just give it away. You know, like because it's going to be, you got a long road ahead. Yeah. But I think the main drive is for me has always been the art of it. I think trying to create that show and write those songs, and I think we're extremely hard on ourselves. I am extremely hard, and for years I've been trying to write that song, and I don't know if I'll ever will, but I've been trying to become that musician that is. I think that's the goal for me. It wasn't the rock star thing. For years we actually put ourselves behind the music a lot, and it was kind of the opposite. Our management teams and people around us would actually get quite annoyed because we should have been rock stars, and put yourself that way, treat yourself a little bit better, be a bit healthier, and maybe people will like you more, you know. But we were always putting the music first. We wanted the music to be rock stars. And I think that's finding that balance is the trick, you know. But yeah. Otherwise, it's a maddening affair, you know, just chasing constantly chasing those songs that you'll never write because you're so hard on yourself, you know.
Exactly. If you don't allow yourself to put it out there, it'll never be perfect.
It never will. It never will.
It's that feeling. I always used to call the music industry chasing the lady in the red dress, just so elusive to find her and go, okay, you know, we're here now. Let's dance.
Yeah.
When you look at it in the South African context, because you've obviously, I mean, you can cross the pond. It's not a question of talent; it's a question of breaking through.
Yeah.
When I look at the industry, especially when you started, I mean, let's go back 20 years. It was a different space.
Big time.
I know for me, if I was on the radio, that was what you needed.
Yeah.
It was, okay, you're on the radio. That meant, cool, now you'll be on the TV, you'll be in the magazines, the newspapers, and then the music awards. It kind of followed a path starting at radio. Today, and along these last 20 years, it became less about that and more about YouTube or all the other channels that popped up. What do you think? How do you break through? How do you keep relevant?
It's a question we constantly ask. I think it's you got to evolve with technology. Definitely. I think we for some reason South Africa, or maybe a lot of us, there is a lot of South African stories that we don't even know about. They've just got on with it, and they're overseas already.
Yeah,
and they're in successful bands. They're doing amazing things. They just don't talk about it. We don't necessarily, like, I was in a picture with Madiba, and it was one of the most amazing things. I was on the front cover of a Scottish newspaper.
Right.
You know, like they'll take pride in stuff like that. I think South Africans, we got to learn to be more proud of each other. That's one thing. But I definitely think technology is something we also didn't use enough. I can only talk more from us in the rock world and like Prime Circle as well. But we could have evolved faster with the internet. We could have used it better. And getting onto playlists, like if you're releasing music, there is so much released on a daily basis. There's so much released in a year. I mean, I read the stats the other day, and I wouldn't confess to remembering it and giving you the stats, but just go and Google how many songs are released on Spotify alone in a year, in a day. You have to have a plan. Otherwise, you're throwing some beautiful art into a black hole, you know, or just all that time. So you have to get on playlists. You have to have a spend on it. You have to have an idea, because there is corporations and money that has designed a way to make money from music still. They've been doing it since the CD was invented, or since you can record music and people can pirate it. You know, since the internet, they've been looking at ways to make money. And I think that's the main thing, is you've got to learn how to use your money to get your music into the proper playlists. Like you'll see on Spotify, it'll see there how many listeners, monthly listeners. Yeah. And you see some big acts that don't have as much as you'd think. And I think it's also because their strategy isn't getting on a lot of those kind of playlists and getting onto that. So that's just one part of it. And the other side of it is communicating with your fan base and keeping on, you know, having a conversation with them now. Where we grew up with the bands that it was elusive. If you could get a Nirvana picture, you know, we didn't have much stuff. You know, every CD was imported. If you had something really rare like that, it was... But yet overseas they had it in abundance. We had, like, if you got a picture of Nirvana that was rare, you know, it was just from some random magazine in America we didn't have, you know. So we grew up with more elusive rock stars, and you really had to go and do some research and dig to find more stuff about them, which was cool for me. I loved that. Yeah,
you had to put in the time, go to the record stores, find wherever you could.
Yeah, I kind of miss that elusiveness sometimes, you know.
Yeah, and today is exactly the opposite. It's more like it shouldn't be elusive. It's all here.
Yeah, you have to show them everything, you know, as much as you possibly can, and more so. And I think, you know, it's become less and less sort of how South Africa, especially, we're quite... what's the word to use? We don't want to push the barrier too much, where the world is like, there's no rules, man. Just do whatever. Just go for it, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think, especially these days, is if I can just get myself out of my own head and just get on with things, I find that I'm okay, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I understand that quite well.
Yeah.
So getting out of your own way, or getting out of your own head, you've been in Prime Circle and with your bandmates for nearly 20 years now.
Yeah, 21 coming up.
There we go. Sorry, 21 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So over the journey, and so many bands fight and break up and all of those things, you guys have done well together to stay loyal. And obviously, I'm sure you've had your ups and downs together. But a constant theme for the band must be, are we still a band? Yeah. Can we still make it out after COVID? You know, with this whole virus rocking the whole world, what's it been like as a band to try and survive, and how do you keep each other through?
Yeah, it's been crazy. I think we've never had to face something like this before. We've had to face a lot of, you know, we've faced poverty when people are looking at you going, you guys are doing so well, where we've actually been like, we've spent all our money in Europe and we've come back with a loss, you know, and losing another manager. Yeah. Or there's a lawsuit or this or that, and you're smiling, and then behind the scenes. And I think we've had to face a lot of those kind of things, and we've always come up on top. COVID was a big hit for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I must say thanks to the Kiffness for doing that carte blanche thing, because I think after that, a lot of musicians actually got a little bit more royalties.
Yeah.
And that was sort of at the beginning of that lockdown, because we haven't had government support really.
Right.
So I think, the Prime Circle really had to face down that, but it's good to see the guys have sort of, Dale built a studio, Dirk loves sound, so he started trading. Marco's always been a business guy, so he's made moves, but it's been hard. We've had to do odds and ends. I was going to start an OnlyFans account. I'm joking, but I mean, I was tempted. But I think this kind of thing could possibly be me going solo now as well. At this time, it is a question for the guys and myself, and we haven't been around each other that much for the last year and a half, 2 years. So it's been crazy, and I think there's a lot of questions that are still in the air. But we love our music. We love what we create. We love our festival. We love, the touring schedules that we have. And I think that is more important than the collective guys. Like we've always had that. Like the songs are cooler than us, man. They tell a true story and a memory where we can be dickheads sometimes. We can be, So I think. Yeah, it's that mix.
The song is the consistency.
That's
the glue.
The thing. That's what's kept us together, and hopefully that will continue to keep us as a band. Right. I think these days we'll be possibly playing a little less, but more quality.
Right. Yeah. Well, before COVID, I mean, you guys did in excess of like 200 shows a year.
Yeah, we were busy.
Definitely as a legacy band in South Africa for sure. I mean, you guys have really stood a test of time here and performed and performed and performed to establish yourselves like that. You had to have just been on the road.
Yeah, we created a road system, down to our rig and everything, just to cases just all rolled out, put on a stage, and it took us a while to get to this sort of kind of uniformed system.
Yeah, so when you arrive, it takes 10 minutes, you're up and running.
10 minutes and we're up and running, and it would be easier rather than it took us a long time to figure it out. And we built up a station in Germany as well, where our rig is better than our rig here. Right. So we have amazing gear just sitting there now for like 3 years, but we're just dying to get back to Europe and tour as well. So we those kind of things is taken, but we built it for the road.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And when you say, so the rig's still sitting there.
Yeah.
So it's waiting for you?
Yeah. Every year we do 2 or 3 tours to Europe, and we take over a guitar every time or an amp.
Yeah.
And then we eventually built up this beautiful rig.
Okay.
So down to lighting, everything. So we've got this truck just sitting, waiting there, like covered in dust.
I was going to say, mate, where does it sit? It's just sitting. Okay.
Yeah, it's just sitting. Yeah.
All right. And,
it's outside of McDonald's somewhere. Yeah. It's still there.
If anybody's watching this, please check it's okay.
Yeah.
In terms of your solo stuff, you've always been, and I from what I understand, you shared it more over time, but you were always the singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
So in terms of potentially having gone solo, you could have done it many, many moons ago.
Yeah.
But now this is you kind of going out there, doing your thing, putting out what you've got in your mind and your head and your heart, and saying, here's my latest. How do you feel about it? Because you guys have been, I say, the victims of unnecessary criticism.
Yeah.
You've always stood out to me as definitely that golden voice, such amazing talent, but people always come back because you want to stay to what you are. And people come and say, but, middle of the road, it's rock, we've heard it. It's
middle brow,
Yeah. It's unnecessary, that stuff, and it shouldn't be said that way. But unfortunately, criticizing is easy.
Yeah.
How do you feel about now this solo stuff? Is it messing with your head in any way?
I think when I did my first shows, I was doing a couple of shows before lockdown.
Yeah.
I literally felt like I was cheating. It was the weirdest thing. I had to go through a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
Initially. The first show I ever did was extremely emotional because I was playing a mixture of new songs and then 1 or 2, 3, 4 of prime circle songs that I'd written for the band. And this band songs. I'm a band man. I always have been. So it was very, very hard. And eventually, I've had to sort of allow myself to just do these other things, and because I want to try different styles, and I've also wanted to. I don't want to die one day and I've just done one thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's very hard for artists. Like we're so hard on. Musicians especially for changing, but they're creative. They have to branch out. These people are, it's in their nature to find new ways to do things and create.
Yes.
So that's all it is in the end, really. It's a different shoot of this career, but at the same time, it's also a new journey. I'd love to work with new artists, different artists, eclectic artists, and that's sort of where it's going. And, and when the criticism thing is actually a beautiful thing as well. Like your bullies can also define you. And I think those kind of things are great. Critics, I've always had them, and it's kind of cool. Like it motivates you to take the punch and give one back. Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, speaking from experience, every now and then something would just come through and you had to build almost like a wall to say like, hey, it's cool, I'm just doing my thing and I carry on. But sometimes people forget it's a person behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my take on it.
Exactly, yeah.
So in this move to all the solo stuff, are you taking a lot from previous experience or something you've always wanted to do and you had it done already in your head years ago, or how's it coming about?
There is experience, like the one I've written a song called Nothing, and it's sort of I like telling stories, so there's like I always write in imagery in my mind. So there's a song called Nothing. It's sort of like a runaway song, but it's about the road again. Yeah. But it's sort of telling a story about this other person asking like, you've got stories, but I've got time behind the wheel. And it's kind of a romantic runaway song, but it's dark. And I've always had this dark edge to myself. But I think the main thing with this is also to explore my skill as writing as a writer and become better at it. Yeah. I think that I've been writing in a box, which I love, but writing I went to Nashville, I went to London, and I've been working with different songwriters because for the last 2 decades, I've only worked with this group and myself.
Sure.
So it was kind of cool to walk into these rooms, very daunting, to walk into a room of people that you've never met and instantly start firing ideas. And it taught me a lot about more confidence where, you know, sometimes maybe I don't mean to say it as a South African sense, but maybe me as a South African, I felt sometimes we play ourselves down.
I agree.
Where I think where overseas in London and America, the guys come in quite confident. And it's actually kind of an endearing thing because it's now we're getting down to making amazing stuff. Yeah. So they're not questioning themselves. They're coming in confident, and we write even when we write a shit song, it's amazing because there's a level of confidence. Like you got to write a few. I've written a lot of shit music. Definitely. Get to, you know, and I'll even, you know, I'm like as my worst critic. So it's nice to see that and becoming a bigger songwriter. And eventually I'm going to be an old guy and hopefully touring. I'm already pushing it, you know, I'm a 40-year-old, but I'm trying to think about it in a sense that I can write music for the rest of my life. I'd love that. I would hate to stop.
But you can, and that's the beauty of it. And the more you write, the better at it you get normally. Yeah. And definitely, I mean, your music's still fantastic. I saw Innocence has 1 million views on YouTube now.
Yeah, it's amazing, man.
It's a fantastic thing to achieve.
Yeah, and I've been seeing with a new record, a lot of the younger generation is connecting with that album, which is it's fantastic. We played Stellenbosch the other day, and I still joked about it that there's these gorgeous women in the show, and they just got the Prime Circle shirts on. I can still see this one girl. She was just she was a 20 out of 10. She was so beautiful, and she was younger than the band. Yeah. Like the band itself is older than. So I felt a bit like a Rolling Stone or an Aerosmith. I felt pretty cool about that.
You should feel cool. That's awesome. Well, I mean, so when I said to Bryce that you were coming on the show, he was telling me about one of his experiences with Prime Circle. I don't think you were the 20 out of 10 girl, but
no. But yeah, I mean, I remember Ross and Prime Circle coming to play. You played a lot of pubs and stuff in the early 2000s. Yeah. So I just remember at a place called Goodfellas in Klerksdorp. So that's where I come from, also a small town. And Prime Circle were there, and it was like incredible to just see the talent then. Sure. And then looking back now on your career over 20 years, I mean, it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's crazy.
Imagine how many people have those phenomenal memories that they'll never forget. Based on you guys and the band and all of your effort that you put in getting to all of those places to play for the people.
I love hearing those stories. It's amazing when people come up to me and like just how people met and how people can, like, I've seen people walk up to me like young adults and go, I was conceived to your music. You know what I mean?
Like, or I met my wife at your show or something like that. Yeah. So amazing stuff.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It's brilliant that. And so tell us some of the memories from shows. I'll give you an example. Once upon a time, when I was young, I played a show and there were so many people in the crowd, but no one knew me. I was the wild card. We were in the UK. Craig David had performed before me. Wow. And when I walked onto the stage, 20,000 people just went quiet. I could hear my feet walking on the stage. There was no noise. Yeah. And now I had to open my mouth and go like, So,
daunting.
It's daunting. So give us some of your stories. It must be incredible, like anything in a memory.
Well, the biggest thing, the thing that defined us, we sat on this Hello song. We written it. I wrote it in high school. Yeah. And it's the craziest thing. I auditioned to Prime Circle with Hello, And I thought it was an okay song. I thought we definitely had a long way to go to be Bush, and I mean those bands that we loved.
Yeah.
And we eventually, with 3 years, 4 years, and then eventually the song became big. They tested it out and they said, "Look, will this song be big?" And we got on the Birds of Prey tour for live, and they were doing 3 shows, and it was incredible. So we got to play the shows, and we played for live, and I couldn't even grow a beard, man. I was like 21. We'd just been signed, and I walked out on stage, and there's just this ocean of people, and they looked at us the same way, like, oh, nah, man, there's this opening act that we want to see live. And we played 1 or 2 songs, and it was going okay, and then we dropped Hello, and everyone clicked. This is the band that plays this song, and that's the hardest part, is
connecting.
To connect you with the song. Like, you can have a great song, but the crowds don't know that it's you. So this was a great way to do it. And when we played Hello, just this massive animal of, it was like became this one thing of people just started to freak out. And at the end of the show, this one girl jumped on her shoulders of her boyfriend, and she pulled her t-shirt up and showed her breasts. And the cameraman zoomed in on it, and all the women in the crowd must have got extremely jealous, because then it just echoed.
Everyone.
It was an ocean of breasts. Every kind of boob you could see. It was incredible. And we tried to get that footage. Being the young pervy band that we were, we wanted that footage for ourselves, and Live refused to give it because it's their show. But I've never seen that many breasts in one room in my life. It was incredible.
An ocean of breasts. That's a good ocean.
Yeah. I almost
the sharks in those
dived.
Yeah, I can
Sorry,
imagine.
and just talking about Hello, I mean, do you guys like still performing the song? Because, there's a lot of artists that...
Yeah, it's a good question.
There's a lot of artists that don't like performing, like Nirvana was one of them. I mean, Smells Like Teen Spirit, Kurt Cobain hated it. He actually hated it.
Yeah, by the end, you've sung it so many
times.
times.
But that's the thing. But it's sort of what your fans want to hear. Do you guys feel that it's still okay to sing those songs?
Yeah, we that's a big question that we always ask ourselves, and it's definitely something that we've actually changed the song sometimes. Like Hello, we do different versions of. But as long as you don't change the fact that people can sing it with you.
Yeah, got to sing along.
Sing along with it, because we played with the Pixies, and that was like my Beatles, amazing.
Yeah.
And every song they played was like the album, except for Where Is My Mind. They played it a little bit different. It was hard to sing with.
Right.
And that you just want to sing with your band. So we love it. I mean, when you hear the crowd sing along, I don't think we'll listen to it. If you ever had to listen to it.
Yeah.
But I think when you can also go, oh shit, okay, we have to put it on. And then you hear the crowd sing it, and it's just like, wow, that's a beautiful.
But that's the best thing, to hear your lyrics
feeling
back.
That other people are singing your music.
Yeah, and it started in your head. It's an idea. You came up with that. You probably wrote it on a bus to somewhere one day, and now people are singing it back to you.
Crazy.
Best feeling in the world.
It is, yeah. It's when a song could help someone, or they sing it. If someone says that song really helped me, and they tell you a story about something that is very difficult, that song helped. I mean, I'm like, man, that's
to get somebody through a tough time. I mean, I know for me, like if I've particular moments in my life where there was a particular song. Yeah. So to be that song, what a thing.
Yeah, that's amazing.
What so let's talk about some of these experiences, because people don't they really get the opportunity to hear this from the horse's mouth, as it were. Getting kicked in the ribs while you're sleeping on a floor. Yeah. You must have slept in a million vans on your way to a million shows.
I've actually unlocked a way to sleep that my head goes forward. I never used to be able to do it, but now I can just put my chin on my chest and I sleep like a baby. Like I can sleep so well like that. It's bad, but I think
that's like some military kind of training, like where they sleep. Okay. Yeah. So all of those things, I mean, all combined build the picture that you are today. Yeah. So like you say, when you look back on it, you probably wouldn't change anything, but because it forms who you are and gets you to where you are. Yeah. But given the state of everything, is there at some point a turn or fork in the road where you go, if I'd gone left or if I'd gone right? Yeah. I definitely think we wouldn't be such an island. I think Prime Circle became quite an island. And I think it was based on insecurity. I think we were, I don't think it was ever, there was a lot of fear that we wouldn't last the year. Always, every year, like you're not going to end up being a band. Yeah. But we just sort of like, just carried on. Not even thinking about it, just carried on driving. But like it was always a fear that it would end. I just wish we hadn't been so fearful, and I wish that we hadn't been such an island. Like collaborated a bit more and
Not that it's over, but I'm just saying, I think
no, of course,
being younger, I think there was a lot of insecurity, and we should have just sort of jumped into that swimming pool. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
And just so the idea is to mix with people and to say like, hey, you've got something to offer. Let's collaborate. Let's take it forward.
Yeah.
The more you're out there, the more you're out there. It's as simple as it sounds.
Yeah, I think we got to tour with so many amazing bands, and eventually when we got older, like when we started touring with Three Doors Down and see again in Europe.
Yeah.
It was nice to see them again, and you think about it and you go, man, like maybe they had a more open mindset to sort of just, I don't know, like you can think of 1,000 things, but like we were lucky enough to get on the road with these people. But I think maybe we should have just, when we were younger, just embraced it even more, you know, rather than sitting in a kind of a fearful way, you know.
Okay.
Did Sean Walgemoed not play at somebody's 21st birthday or something?
Yeah, that happened. That was an amazing thing. 69T was like massive on radio, and I was in high school. It was about the time that I wrote this, you know, and I was listening to a lot of heavy music. I loved Machine had the Burning Red album, so I'm sorry to all the metal fans because they hate that album, but I love that. I loved that album.
But you're a big fan of metal.
Yeah, I love metal music. And there was the Battle of the Bands back then at, what was it called? Morgan's Cat. It was on the waterfront there.
Yeah.
And we got to play. We had to bunk school and go through and borrow amps, and we played it. And my friend, who was going to be the guitar player, his name was Dacha. He had a bokkie, and he was this hard-looking dude. He got such stage fright. He pulled out. I had to learn his parts quickly before the show, and we sent an email to Sean, Sarin Gas at the time, saying, "Can we cover 69T?" And he said, "You're the only band that's actually asked me, and just for that, I'm coming to the show." And he was the only person that stood on that small dance floor with his hair in his face, and he listened to us destroy his song. It was the worst thing ever. And we came last in the first round of Battle of the Bands. And we went up to him afterwards, or I was too nervous to speak to him at the time. And the bass player, Tammy, she went up to him and said, "Listen, my friend, the guitar player who'd pulled out, was having his 21st birthday. He was a little bit older. Would you play his birthday?" He said, "Yeah." And they came and played for free at a prison, in Middelburg prison.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
And it was one of the best shows ever. We met the band, and they were soon off overseas after that. It was amazing. And I've known Sean ever since. Yeah.
Incredible. See, that's the stuff that makes a rock star. It's all the memory and the experience. That's what really puts it all together.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So let's talk about your voice.
Yeah.
Like, having been a singer for 4.5 seconds myself, the consistency in your voice is incredible.
Thank you.
Like, I remember for me, it was between show to show, it was kind of like, don't know what's going to come out now. Could be good, could be bad. For you, it's always been this amazingly rich voice. Did you have training when you were younger? Was it always been there?
I think I started sounding like, I started my career sounding like an older man. I think a lot of people thought I was a lot older.
Right.
I sound like an old man who smoked 50 cigarettes a day. But I smoked about 30 cigarettes.
I was going to say, where were you on the scale?
I was a big smoker. But yeah, my voice was, if I listened to the first recordings, I definitely was, but I can hear the inexperience and me trying to imitate like the Bush, the Nickelbacks of the world, you know, because that was like slamming at the time. And we sort of rode that wave in, I think. That was sort of how that was the wave that Prime Circle rode in. And luckily we evolved, you know, with the times. And started making music that was a little bit different. And my voice also sort of became a little bit more, I tried to work on it to make it move a little bit differently rather than be so rigid. But
when you say work on, was it a regimented training or just things you were trying in your own time?
I think it was more listening, my ear changed. Okay. So the stuff that I was quite sort of narrow-minded. I would listen to a lot of metal, a lot of rock, and I was like sort of that guy that was like, I don't want to listen to anything else. Okay. You know, and then sort of later 20s, I started listening to a lot more funk and soul and R&B and that kind of stuff, and that definitely, then you realize what real singing is, you know. And obviously as a kid, I heard a lot of stuff, you know, like your Marvin Gaye's and stuff, and always loved that. But, you know, you want to define your own thing and your anger and your angst. And then sort of changed. The older I got, the more I let go of the angst and let in all this other music. And I think that's what changed my at least my scope of where I wanted to try and put my notes.
Okay. Yeah. And now for your solo, is it there? Have you got what you wanted? Are you exploring a whole bunch of new things?
Yeah, it's tricky for me. There's even some funk in the song. My first single, I think, is going to be a kind of a disco funk song.
Okay.
But it's still got the dark elements, and I'm actually crooning. So I'm not even singing a sweet soul that I wanted to. It just my sort of brain went this way when I was doing the writing. It's sort of just to sort of darken my voice a little bit. But it is very different. But I'm excited because it's different.
Yeah, that's the versatility.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring out a Prime Circle album, But then there's I call them the dark sort of cousins that live together. So I've got the funk but it's quite an eclectic album in the sense that it goes from disco to almost folk. So I'm hoping that's a good choice because I hope people are wanting to go on a journey and hear these stories. You always get a mixed review from labels saying we want a sound, and then you got to stick with that. Well, I don't know. I changed my mind too much. I don't know if I'll be able to do that.
Right. And is this done with a label or on your own?
On my own, completely. Yeah. I'm still speaking with some labels and
is that for distribution?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And owning the rights to your music is yours?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
So we've evolved on that one.
Yeah. That's definitely something that I have to have. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's part of what it takes to be impressive now. And I suppose as you've evolved in your career, besides for the music learnings, is the business learnings.
Yeah.
The music business is a very interesting place to play.
Yeah.
Especially because most of the people that come into it are quite inexperienced at business.
Yeah.
Yet it's a music business. So understanding your rights and how to get your royalties and watch all of these things can be very tricky.
Yeah.
What do you say to people who want to get involved in the music business?
Oh man, I think you got to get a team around you, and that takes time. I think that's also part of a musician's thing. When you see bands evolving and getting better, is that you siphon through the people, and you finally get a team, an army. Yeah, and that is something that is definitely hard. We've been successful in finding sort of management that is quite sometimes gatekeepers or people that can stifle you. Or put you, like even Elvis Presley had that. It doesn't matter that no one's safe from this. It's you've got to be behind the wheel, and you've got to make sure that you have a vision. And even if that's like just touring consistently all the time, and you've got to have that sort of the right people in your team. And I think that building your team is a very important thing. Yeah,
I agree 100%.
Yeah,
the position. For yourself, and I know obviously before you've come on the show, I spoke to your manager, and there was a lot around social media and tying it all together. Yeah. So it sounds like you guys have got a strategy and something to get what you're doing to market, because otherwise you say this wonderful creation will just fall into a deep black hole.
Yeah, and it still could happen. I mean, that's definite. We're just trying to synchronize things as much as we can, I think, and especially now when everyone's coming back, whether it be your show or this music or a festival or anything. We also want to try and do it that everyone benefits better. I think sometimes we, as a country or as a world, like we can sort of work against each other sometimes, where things could just be easier. If
flow with the current.
Flow with each other and try and make things, not waste other people's time.
Definitely, definitely right.
Yeah.
Let's touch on to some of the other stuff that you're involved in. So I know you're a charitable guy. I know that you've been involved in things that look after other people.
Yeah.
Currently, you're also training for a boxing fight. Let's talk about some of the other stuff that you're getting your hands into. Yeah. What's going on at the moment?
Well, charity, I could be more. I think everyone could be more. I think especially these days, people need generosity. And it's something that is always on my mind. So there will be stuff with this new record. I'd love to try and there's a hospice that we want to help. And I went to see them, and I still haven't done anything there. So that needs to happen, and it's on my mind. But there is like the RADA Foundation, and we do as a band, we do our charity stuff. But there could always be more.
Yeah.
With regards to the boxing thing, there were a lot of people have asked me, is that a charity thing? I'm like, yes, the charity is me, because I haven't had a gig for fucking 2 years. So and people have asked, why would you do boxing? Well, there's many reasons. I'm recently sober, and it's like a sort of a demon that has been chasing me for a long time. So I wanted to have something else to replace it. And weirdly enough, I never thought I'd be a boxer, let alone be on a card that had a heavyweight title on it.
Right.
For South African heavyweight.
Yeah.
Which is incredible. But like, it's just been such a thing to fight, to be able to fight and get into these kind of groups of people that is amazing. So like, I'm just loving, you train at the same gym as me.
Yep.
And I've seen you there, and these people they're very scary people.
Yeah.
But the minute you get
there
to
are some scary
there
people.
are some scary.
Some have been on the show.
We have had some on the show, and they were scary.
Yeah. But they're the most loveliest people, you know, when they're not punching you in the face. They're really great. So taking on that was just one of the things, and I've been trying to sort of focus since the road was taken away from me and I couldn't move anymore. I think I missed that road under the wheels moving.
Yeah.
So I started running when we were allowed to run again, and that slowly started my journey, and that's just, I've been running ever since, I think, like Forrest Gump.
Right, and it's you're being consistent with it, so it's an everyday get up and go.
Yeah, I'm. It's become quite. I think it's maybe my new sort of cross addiction. Maybe, you know, like
it could definitely be. Fitness is a massive addiction.
Yeah. But it's just, for me, my head was. I was in sort of a quite a rut for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, it's something, as a creative kind of guy and trying to writing, it's. Sometimes people look at that and go, that's a good thing, you know, and because of creating, you get quite dark and you can create, and, you know, sometimes heartbreak makes for good songs, depression. So those kind of things that I've dealt with a lot, like songs like Ghost and those kind of things, dealing with depression and suicide and those kind of things. So for me, anything to sort of keep me moving forward, you know, to not stay in the dark. Yeah.
Right. And well done. So first, so to swing your life around is an incredibly difficult thing, and again, part of it being an impressive human is to pick yourself up. Yeah. So well done.
Thank you.
Brycey, we've definitely got some addiction that we need to deal with chocolate in my world.
Your addiction to chocolate.
I love sweet stuff, man.
Yeah.
But that's why I train every day as well.
There we go. So you can,
Let's the boxing, the preparation, all of that stuff. I mean, you walked in, you were saying about getting punched in the head.
Yeah.
I don't know if people realize. They'll watch the fight. I don't know if they'll know how much work you're putting in.
Yeah. Well, I think I saw Francois now recently in Cape Town when I did the press tour.
Yeah.
And he's put out on Facebook already that he wants the winner. So I think he came to size us up, and I went for a run with him. We did like a nice 10K. And, you know, on the promenade, which is not really running, that's like modeling.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, there's no hills or anything. It's just a straight, like on the.
I like that. It's like modeling.
Yeah. Everyone's modeling their new running shoes, you know.
Yeah.
It's not hardcore, but like, it was a nice thing to just talk. And I was asking him a lot of questions about it. And he's also gone sober, and he turned his life around. And I said to him, look, I mean, definitely one of my, I've been watching his journey and been so impressed with him. And it definitely one of the reasons, one of my inspirations. And I've known him for years, and I just think he's incredible. But the fact that now this fighting thing is on the cards, it gives us another element to talk about. You know?
Yeah, he's a big boy though, eh?
Well, he's not that big. He's
really?
Not that big. He's about my height.
Jeez,
I think I could take it.
You think you can take it?
Yeah. But I've seen him take.
What I see?
I've seen him take a punch. This is the thing. I think Francois can take a punch. I saw him get hit at Tempos. There was a place called Tempos just outside Joburg, if you guys remember.
Yeah.
It had a very high stage, very, very high. And we were drinking tequila backstage, but we were throwing half our tequilas under the chairs. And he was drinking all of his tequilas. He was like, and he fell off the stage and he hit a couple in the front, a girl and a guy.
Oh.
And I think the girl, she was bursting into tears and she was crying and everything. But she's in front of a Focal police car show. You must toughen up here and you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
So then he runs up the stairs and he's carrying on singing. He keeps on leaning down. It's a very high stage. And the boyfriend was timing it so much that he waited for Francois to lean. He jumped and he hit him in the face so hard. And Francois didn't even skip a beat; he just carried on. So I think he can take a punch. But the one thing,
a copious amount of tequila might have helped with that.
Yeah. But the one thing we spoke about is the mind fuck, pretty much.
Yeah.
With anything, you got to to get out of something, you've really got to get through a lot of barbed wire in your mind. And that's been the main thing. Like I feel like I'm more scared of this training than I am of the fight, because I have to fight so many people and fight myself more than anyone along the way. You know, so I've got another 2.5 weeks before the fight, and I think I've got about 30 sparring sessions ahead of me.
At least, yeah.
And it's just, I've got a black eye now, and I'm thinking my arm is sore, my face is sore. but I'm loving every second of it, and it's the mind fuck that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, the mental prep before you step into a ring is off the charts. Are you eating healthy? Are you being like, you're looking after every element?
I am, yeah. Luckily, I'll do a punt, but these guys are incredible. As Munch Meals have been sponsoring us.
Okay.
And they just package the stuff. They actually started during lockdown as a chef and in Pretoria, and they're amazing. They've been sending me stuff every week. They send you the frozen stuff, and the last thing you want to do is be microwaving meats and stuff, but it's actually very good. Like, I've really been enjoying it. It reminds me of... like Einstein and those guys when they had one outfit. Yeah. And they said, I don't have to think about that anymore.
Yeah.
Let's go. It's like, I don't have to think about food now, because food for me has been a very hard.
Takes a lot of thinking.
I've never had control of my body. I've always been a fat guy. I've lost 30 kgs now in the last sort of
30
kgs in 8 months. So I was a big dude, 103 kgs in lockdown. So that's sort of been one of the things that's helped me. Like, I've never been able to control food. Like, I don't know how to do it. Like, no education.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, well done, man. That's a flipping great story.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely be watching that and making sure we're in the corner to support. Huh?
No, definitely.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about a little bit of the business side of things for you. So, having gone country to country and performed, it must be thousands of shows by now. What's your experience in the business side of things? When you relied on a manager to get paid, did they make sure you got paid? Did you take on any of the business elements yourself?
Yeah. Well, the business side is tricky. Like, I think for us, like, I've made some stupid decisions, and I'm always open about it and honest. But like, I haven't gone into certain meetings just thinking that, like, I'll let my manager represent me. Yeah. And then nothing comes of it, and you find out later on that the meeting was just a sham. Or like, we've had, we walked around a corner in London the one day, and our manager, we'd taken over, and he was shopping, he was just out there, like, bags and bags in his hands shopping,
Not even interested
and just wasting our time and wasting our money. So it's sad. Those kind of things happen, you got to be behind the wheel. Yeah. And I think, as a young rocker, you just want to do the rock and roll, man, and we'll sleep. You'll take it. You'll take anything you can go. So, but then there has been amazing business as well. There's been some great stuff that's happened, and hence the reason we were on so many great tours, and we had platinum records, and we had those things. I just think you've really got to take the wheel, and you're allowed to have fun and go crazy, and the sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing is cool. Just try and try and not kill yourself, and try and keep focused to what's real, and that's the art of it. Because people can see through bullshit. And crowds are growing. I think the audience, like, music is becoming a lot better because the audience has a better ear. Right. Your normal sort of listener these days has so much more scope in music than they used to have. They're listening to so much more stuff on a regular basis, and it's streamed to them 24/7. They're smarter than we think, in that way. So I think.
Well, that's a very interesting thing to hear, because mostly what I hear is people saying they don't make music like they used to.
But they do. If you just got to go and look for it. I think it's if you're looking on. If you're looking at the top 40 on radio and stuff like that, that's one element. Like, when we were doing music back in the day, that was your element. That's all we had, really. Yeah. But I think now there's such a. I do it where you'll go on Spotify or something like that, and you find an eclectic band, and then you go on that path, like that similar to, and then you actually start finding a lot of weird stuff. Another one is Tiny Desk Sessions. Is a great way to find new music. Yeah. But yeah, they don't make music like they used to. They make it a lot more in the box, and there is a lot of that kind of. There can be constructed things around people with not that much talent. Yeah. But there is a lot of talent out there as well that can be found. And it's nice when you find that new thing that's yours. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting to hear. But I do suppose if I spoke to, say, my father-in-law, who's pushing his numbers up, he would probably tell me that even in his generation, they were still saying they don't make music like they used to.
Exactly.
So maybe it's generational that it keeps going through.
Yeah, Sinatra and Elvis, I mean, that's like, there's actually a famous video of them singing together, and Elvis just like destroys Sinatra. Like, it's just like, but Sinatra probably he hated rock and roll.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, very interesting, man. Interesting to hear that history. All right, let's talk about getting paid for a second here. Yeah. So we'll jump into the Nagging Panda part of the show. You must have had to chase for payments.
Oh yeah, The lady sitting in the corner over there is my agent slash manager slash just multiple kind of personality, kind of takes on many roles.
Yeah. Can go from happy to angry.
Yeah, she can tell you, but I mean, has knocked out large men just because of money and those kind of things and chasing it down. So I commend her for that. But there was one story that I laugh about. We were playing down in the Wild Coast. I won't mention the man's name or the venue, but they no longer exist because of this. Okay. But we played this show. It was packed. Like there was sweat dripping from the tent, like from the roof. There was so much people in there. And we went to get paid at the end. We went to get cash up, and he said, "Listen, we haven't made enough. There's like 15 grand." And we were so short. Like the money was so short. And the guys were like, "This is bullshit. There's no way that there's no money." So the guys literally lifted him up. Like I think Mariska, she lifted. She said, "You must stand up. Just stand up quickly." And she lifted the chair, the cushion that was on it. It was like 20 grand under there. Then they lifted his bed, flipped the bed over, literally in the middle. There was so much cash there, probably from other bands. Marco was literally going to load this man's boat on the back of our van just to get paid. We were like, no, we're not leaving here. We're from Witbank, Middelburg. You know, this is a Portuguese guy in the band. He's not going to take shit. You know, I'm Scottish. I'm going to count coins, you know. So it was an amazing experience. The guy was put out of business. He's lucky we didn't do anything. It was such a horrible moment, you know. But luckily we got out of that one. But there's been many cases like that.
So you actually looked under his chair. You can't see her off camera, but she's sitting there very sweetly. You would never imagine
this tiny woman who will
nodding,
kick
going,
your ass. Yeah.
I looked. I made him stand up and looked under his chair, and there was a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, there was cash everywhere in his house, like behind everything. He'd just been, every band, I think Polytones had been through the week before and had been not paid. So we took their money as well. You know? Yeah,
it happens.
It happens.
We'll call it a royalty for years of opening shows.
Exactly. Yeah,
years of opening shows. We'll call it a royalty. Yeah. So, all right. So that's the lengths that that musicians have to go to, is literally go and raid somebody's house to find the cash.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, because you'll know some of these dangerous characters, it doesn't happen in the martial arts world. So you put Boyd in that chair, and he'll tell you different stories. You know, people want to pay him.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Richie Kwan there. No one wants to mess with him. You know, so different industries. So the advent of Nagging Panda to help and stay on these people, just to nag them and nag them and nag them. I think what we have to do is include a Mariska.
Yeah, I think so.
So make sure that we've got somebody to go and look under your chair.
Definitely.
And look under the bed and all those places to find some of the money. Well, that's cool. Yeah. Any other stories that you want to share?
Well, I mean, it's always hard when you, especially if it's venues that are battling, you know. So, you know, you don't want to ever shut people down. So you always try and, you know, make it, how do we load it up on the next show or something like that? Because the industry right now is tricky. I think a lot of venues, we've lost a lot of venues and that
definitely.
Kind of thing, so
well, let me ask you this question, and without going all the way back, but I used to have this argument with my dad, who was a one-man band of sorts, and he used to play kind of wherever he could, but his offers to play in the money that they would offer him would go lower and lower and lower, and eventually he kept saying yes and yes and yes, and I said, but you're changing the price.
Yeah.
Because you're accepting it all the time, you're lowering the price. So the market is actually getting cheaper.
Yeah.
So it's almost like if all the bands agree to play at a lower rate, the price will always come down.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That's something for years we've spoken to a lot of bands, like for underpricing themselves.
Yeah.
So by doing that, a lot of the guys, they sort of undercut the entire industry, but then they put themselves in this stupid thing. Like even bands like I remember Gangs of Ballet and those guys were accepting really low rates in the beginning of their careers. Yeah. Because they didn't know any better, I think, as well. And they don't know how it affects everybody in the industry. Yeah. And there's no wrong or right in it. Like, you must try and get the gigs, man. Like, you know. But I think that we got to value it a bit more. The musicians should value themselves more, and the industry should value it more. And it's not a hobby. It's a real
it's a living. People need to make money.
And I think it's, as long as it makes sense for everybody, you know, everyone wants to make money, and that's fine. Just don't, I think the guys must sort of be careful to not sort of underprice themselves as well. I mean, we spent a long time at, like, I remember asking $8,000 and thinking that was a lot of money. Yeah. And that was 5 guys, engineering. And I remember back in the day, I was going, "Are you serious?" I was 10 grand. Like that's a lot. That's a lot of money. But you start to realize after a while the expenses and the value of yourself.
Yeah, you got to get you and your crew there, and then all the expenses, and then you got to get paid and make money. This is what you do.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so Ross, from all of us, and to Mariska, your bouncer, we wish you guys all the best on your upcoming release, and
thank you.
I hope that the crowds come back in droves, because I'm sure people are itching to get out. And be in the venues again, and be there to witness it all. And we hope that it all goes well. And if you need us at any point to nag anybody, we're there for you.
Thank you.
And we welcome you back on the Impressive Human Show anytime.
Thank you. It's been an impressive show, and thanks for having me. I hope I didn't make. I'll probably be thinking about this for the next few hours, thinking, I hope I made sense. So I hope there was some stuff that makes sense.
No, you definitely did. And we want you to watch it back with pride and enjoy it.
Thank you.
You've done great. Thank you very much. And I always end by saying, Brycey, fade to black.